Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. When I started this podcast in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs. In each episode, my guests provide resources, valuable tips, and inspiration. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strength to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. And I'm so glad that you could join us today. I will introduce my guest, Ashley Cline, the digital marketing consultant and freelancing expert. With more than 15 years of experience in the digital marketing space, she specializes in building strategic marketing plans, mapping strategy execution, and collaborating to optimize tactics that drive increased performance for clients. And currently, Ashley is the co-founder of Ice Cream Social and the vice president of Cline strategy at TicketSocket. So welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thank you, Deb, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great. So let's get started to find out more about you and what you're working on. So if you could please let us know how did you get started in the work that you do?
Sure. Great question. So I would say I grew up in a very small town of Ohio, farm town, pretty far from any cities, anything to do, really. We didn't even have many of a sit-down restaurant or movie theater. So my brother and I played a lot of video games growing up. And playing these video games for me really drove this love for optimization because we really only had one game, and that was Mario Brothers. Not sure if there's any Nintendo fans in here listening, but we had Mario Brothers, and literally once you beat the game, there's nothing else to do. And so my brother and I would play the game over and over and over again for years, just finding new ways to challenge ourselves. So we would, learn how we could optimize our performance. How can we beat the levels quicker in less time? How can we get more coins each level? All the different things that you could do. We're always looking to optimize our game performance to keep it fun and interesting. And I never let go of that love for optimization. Once I got into high school, I was in a marketing club, and it was a very similar thing. We're able to do competitions and compete in, faux marketing tactics, whether that's sales or building a website. And we'd go to these competitions, and if you do well, you make it to the next level, the next competition, and always taking that feedback and just improving until I was able to make it to the national level. And by doing that, it just really drove my love for marketing because I would start doing marketing campaigns or search engine optimization and, the tiniest little tweaks. And then you can be number one on Google. And I've just always really enjoyed tinkering with things. So marketing was a great place that allows me to do that because there's always, copy that could be tweaked or new subject lines or Facebook ads that could perform better. So it really became, my new Nintendo game as I entered adulthood.
Well, that seems like the timing was excellent because right now digital marketing is pretty much everything. Definitely with the pandemic, a lot of things moved online other than people who were already there, but a lot of people realized that there was online who may not have been doing that. So, I'm sure that you had seen a lot of that movement. I mean, is that what you personally experienced in your business, that people were finding that they really have to start to try to take online seriously?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As I started my career, Facebook just got released to the public where it was no longer just for college kids. And so as that came about, I was already working in online marketing with building websites and search engine optimization. So as soon as that shift happened with social media, then everyone kind of came to me thinking, well, you know the internet, how do I do this? And so just one thing led to another, just always figuring out the different ways to market online.
Mm-hmm. So right now, do you think that that has gotten, I guess I could say, gotten larger or more overwhelming for the average person or business owner to navigate? Because, of course, thinking when Facebook started out, and a lot of the idea of social media was pretty new for a lot of people. Even though the internet was around for quite some time beforehand, but this was just kind of a new world. And looking back as to how things were when Facebook started to where it is now, do you feel that a lot of people you work with feel overwhelmed by everything that they would have to do now to really get out there and be seen?
Yes and no. I'd say at the end of the day, marketing and the strategy is always there. The strategy is the same. Now, inside of the strategy, the tactics, of course, change over time. And I would say, yeah, now more than ever, it changes at a quicker rate. You do, just need to be active in digital marketing to really kind of stand out these days. And if you're a one-man show, then yes, it's pretty overwhelming. But a lot of the clients that I'm working with, have a marketing team. We've got someone that specializes just in strategy that leads the team, and someone that does email, someone that does SMS, someone that does Facebook ads, someone that does Google ads. And so I would say the more challenging thing for a lot of my clients is assembling the right team that knows how to take all of their different puzzle pieces that they're experts in and make them fit together so that the full digital marketing stack is all working together and no one's kind of working in their own isolated areas.
Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of sense, actually, because people really need to integrate all these things, I think, as compared to maybe how it was before. Everything seems to have to really fit together. So, as far as your business goes, how are you able to keep a full pipeline of clients to work with?
Sure. So I'd have to say, one, I kind of identify myself a little precursor to this question as a preneur. And to me, what that means is I'm very much an intrapreneur, which means I work at TicketSocket and I love working with all my clients there. And I'm kind of a mini entrepreneur inside of a company working in a corporate setting. And having that kind of drive and initiative to really forge the role that I want to be doing in my career, I think has greatly benefited me. I essentially took on a role that didn't exist before I brought it to everyone's attention that we should do this. Secondly, is that solopreneur. I do still do a lot of my own independent consulting, a lot of affiliate marketing, things like that. And then lastly, just that entrepreneurship mindset. You mentioned co-founder of Ice Cream Social. So really forging that as a company and, working to grow that. And when I think of my pipeline and keeping it full, one of the things that works really well across all three of those preneur categories, entrepreneur, intrapreneur, and solopreneur, is really taking a different look at how you get your clients or your customers that you're working with. So traditionally, what a lot of people do is they will be running marketing, trying to get a client, which is great. You want to be doing that anyways. But in all three of these different avenues that I pursue, where I found the most luck is in what I call channel partners. And so what that means to me let's say in my intrapreneur and entrepreneur roles, is finding companies that we don't compete with, but have a similar client base. So let's say with TicketSocket, a lot of our partners are merchant processing companies like Square or other marketing tools. I love Active Campaign, Attentive, all those different companies that also work with events, but don't do ticketing. we align with them to bring each other leads. So kind of like your business networking, whether it's a chamber of commerce or you've been a part of BNI, just at a higher level, corporate level, where you're actually aligning with people working in the industry and really focusing, dedicated more than just passing referrals, but you are meeting weekly, you're talking about leads that you can be sharing with each other and helping grow each other's business.
Mm-hmm.
On the solopreneur side, where I do consulting, and for a long part of my career, all I did was consulting. And so for me to go out and find all my own clients is not a good use of my time, because I want my hands in the marketing. I don't want to be spending 30-70% of my time in sales. And so what I did was find agencies that needed consultants, because agencies are always needing to scale up and down, oftentimes up. They're not really scaling down. So they love a consultant who can come in and help them with certain clients and projects on an ongoing basis, someone that they can rely on. And so I just aligned myself with a few agencies whom I loved working with, and they're the ones going out there and getting all the new clients and then coming to me and saying, hey, we've got this project. Can you work on this? What can you do? So that became a really great way for me to generate business and not have to stress about it.
Yeah, that's often what happens, that people really feel like how they're going to constantly get a pipeline of clients coming in till they don't get to the point where they don't have what they need. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say to add to that, yes, aligning with channel partners is great, but of course, just the good old delivering great work where people want to come back to you over and over again because you do a good job. That's always important.
Yeah, well, that's definitely important. That's definitely important. I think a lot of times people, sometimes in the freelancing space don't really see that. It's not that they don't want to do good work, but sometimes they take on more than they should or try to do too many things, and then that leads to more stress, or at least maybe them taking on things that maybe aren't the best thing for them. So then, of course, again, that leads to maybe clients not getting what they want, and then you go into the whole stress cycle again. So I think that, the bottom line is people really just trying to do their best and focus on what they can deliver and produce. And then that's really going to help a long way. And speaking of that, we're talking about word of mouth marketing, and it would seem that if you're doing a good job, people appreciate that and you share that with others, that would certainly fit into word of mouth. Is that how you define it?
Absolutely. That is definitely one great way to define it. It's really how Ice Cream Social got its start. First, it developed from a need. And so my role at TicketSocket is to help our event clients sell as many tickets as possible without having to increase their marketing budget. So that comes in the form of a few things. One, just marketing optimization. Are your ads performing? Are your emails performing? But two, figuring out ways that they can amplify that word of mouth marketing. Because for any product or business, but especially in events, if somebody says, yes, I want to attend this event, they're the best person to ask, well, who else would want to come to this event? Because they probably have like-minded friends and family that would enjoy it as well. And so Ice Cream Social really started as a need first, which I think is always an important thing when starting a business. And two, just being able to prove out the fact that it works. And when stacked against other marketing channels, word of mouth is always going to win when it comes to cost per acquisition of a customer. And really, you just gotta ask. You gotta put the ask out there. And so with Ice Cream Social, it's very simple. All we do is after someone purchases a ticket or a product, it works on retail too, we ask them, hey, events are more fun when your friends go. Send them a 10% off promo code. And if you get 3 friends to come, we'll give you a ticket refund. And so a lot of people get one friend to come, two friends to come. It's pretty rare that somebody actually reaches their goal. So you're getting all of this word of mouth sales without necessarily giving out all these refunds. However, some people do a great job and go above and beyond. They'll bring you 15 of their friends who purchase tickets. So yeah, why not give them a free ticket? Because the cost for you to acquire that customer via a Facebook ad would have been a heck of a lot more expensive than just asking your current database customers to invite their friends. And adding that gamification, of course, my video playing game days coming in really helps amplify and just get people excited about putting the word out there for you.
And that's such a great idea also. And what you're saying, making a really good point about it was probably better for you to reach out to people, to ask other people that they know, as opposed to, okay, we've got to go, try to target people on Facebook who, and essentially, you don't know them. You're trying to get them interested in whatever it is, and of course, having to pay for the advertising budget.
Yeah.
With the people that you work with, do you find that they don't realize the benefits of this kind of networking, I guess you could say, or the word of mouth maybe is a better way to put it, as opposed to ads? And I ask that because a lot of times, particularly with small business owners and people who may be selling a product or service, a lot of times they seem to jump to ads lately. And maybe that's because that's very much what people talk about. But it seems like may not always be the way to go, or the way to go to first. Do you work with people who you really have to explain to them that maybe there's a different way aside from going straight to ads?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I work with a lot of clients where when I first started working with them, all they did was Facebook ads. And I know why, because they do work. It works. So it's still necessary evil. You're going to need to do Facebook ads, or I'm sorry, Meta ads now.
Yeah, I forget too.
Yeah. But once I show them, hey, you want to make your Facebook ads work even better, let's pull a few other things into your marketing mix. Let's pull in word of mouth marketing. Let's pull in email and SMS. And really, it's, as I mentioned before, it's like fitting those puzzle pieces together to have them talk to each other. And really just that idea of all boats rise with the tide. If you are doing the right marketing stack and the messaging is complementary and doesn't overlap or compete, you can have really great experiences and overall bring down your cost per acquisition across all marketing channels if you get them to work together properly. And all clients are all about that. Anything they can do to sell more tickets and pay less to acquire a customer.
Well, that's true. That's definitely the way to go, I think. And it seems like, particularly for a smaller business, that would probably be the way to go, as opposed to paying a lot of times a lot of money in ads. That could be kind of difficult when they're starting up, to try to figure out how to do that. So as far as your client base, is it more small business or mid-size or large, or is it a combination?
Sure. So I do work with quite a range from, smaller events to large scale events of, big names that everyone would know. So a little bit of everything. But what I find is the right strategy, no matter what your marketing budget looks like, can work really well across any client, the same event marketing strategy. And so it's really just being smart about where you're putting your money and making sure everything's working together. Whether you have a $1,000 marketing budget or $1 million marketing budget, the right strategy is key, and it can work across all kinds of business levels.
Well, that's definitely good to know. I think particularly for the the small business owner who may be listening and wondering how they can really do better with their marketing or even advertising. Because as I said, it would seem very overwhelming with so many choices and so many things going on and so many seems to change constantly where, people are told to put their focus or put their money or things like that. Do you do a lot of work around social media marketing as well?
Yes, very heavy in social media marketing, paid social media, search, email, SMS. I would say those really anything that kind of falls into that digital marketing umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I asked that because, of course, you hear so much about TikTok and that's like the latest thing right now, but there's always a latest thing that
Yeah.
comes along. So there's always a latest thing that comes along. But I think what I have read a couple of things. I don't know if this is something that overlaps some of the work that you're doing, but I've seen in some cases, particularly on TikTok, where some of the content creators will then be promoting a particular product because they may have a following, and then a company will come to them and they'll do a video about a particular product. Then I remember seeing another fashion stylist who was saying that there was some pushback in terms of the influencers who were getting involved with Fashion Week and things like that. They were saying that content creators should really start to, I guess, take back, in a sense, their territory and not so much, send it out to an influencer to do. And I'm just curious, as to from what you're sitting, are you seeing some shifts in how people may use influencers, or or the content creators may be becoming a little bit more focused on kind of keeping their little, I shouldn't say little, being the ones who are driving these things? Because I'm just reading things about that and seeing that. I'm just curious from where you're positioned. Are these conversations that are had, with you and your team?
Sure. So I would say when I first got into influencer marketing, representing the brand, I have also worked on the other side representing the influencers, but representing the brand, probably got into that maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. And it was very much the wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
And it still is a little bit today, as it's ever evolving, but I've done exchange with influencers where free product in exchange to a post, down to paying a 15-year-old girl $100,000 for one quick YouTube video. So it's kind of across the gamut there in terms. It honestly, you have to approach each influencer individually. It becomes another like expert. I work with people who are experts in influencer relations, and you need to approach each influencer individually with the right messaging. And you need to understand their numbers and how to work with them, because it's going to be a different experience with each influencer that you work with. And you got to find a happy medium when working with them, because the brands do want a lot of control on what's said and what's posted. But you also have to give the influencer enough freedom to create content that they know their audience is going to love. And so if you can create a relationship with an influencer and over time really build that trust when it comes to content creation, that's a great place to be in. I wouldn't consider it a turn and burn opportunity. You do want to build relationships with them, and they know what they're doing. So go ahead and listen a little bit, and just, again, it is still a little bit of the wild, wild west. You're going to have some influencers who are happy just to have free product. And then you're going to have influencers where this is very much their empire, their business that they're building, and they can and will charge top dollar for their content. So good for them.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Because like I said, it seems like there's, from what, like I said, from what I've read or heard, to some extent, I think some content creators, maybe that depends on the industry, seem to be looking that they kind of want to probably not give out, I guess, and I hate to say power because maybe that's is what it comes down to, or influence, literally influence. Like they're looking at maybe some of these content creators in some of these industries maybe have to consider that they have to take on more of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a reaction to.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of considerations. It depends on the influencer, depends on the industry. But the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I will say, just also working on the influencer side, is that it takes so much more work than anyone dreams of to get one photo
Mm-hmm.
or a 30-second reel or TikTok. Like it is a full-time job to be a content creator. And so
Mm-hmm.
just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think I'm certain that most solopreneurs would not disagree with you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't disagree with you, and again, that leads to feelings of overwhelm because then people feel they have to do so many different things, and
Yeah.
you know, um, and
You
be
just
so
gotta
many
think,
things.
yeah, for sure. You just gotta think of it as another marketing channel. If you're doing ads on Meta, you got
Mm-hmm.
to play by their rules. You can't just post whatever you want and put spend behind it. So it's a similar thing, just
Mm-hmm.
different set of rules.
Mm-hmm. True. And I think that's a thing for a lot of people who maybe don't have the background in that or really understand it. But then, of course, that's where your team comes into play because you can. That's where you can help, help the person who really doesn't understand what to do or doesn't have the time for it, but they really want
Yeah.
to put their time into something else.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. Well, that's good that we can. There is help out there. People don't really have to try to do everything themselves because sometimes that really um, isn't really possible to do and do well. So, Ashley, could you please share with everyone where they can find out more about you?
Sure. You can visit my website, Ashley N, the letter N for Nicole, Cline.com. AshleyNCline.com.
Great. Okay. Okay. I'm just looking to see if I want to make sure that I see what other questions I would like to ask you. But going forward, what do you see any major changes going forward with um, digital marketing or things that are trends that you see are coming along?
I would say a lot of more of the same, but always evolving. I never
Mm-hmm.
see like any huge trends come along that it's just groundbreaking. It's really if you've been in the industry or you like sit back and watch, it's really more of the same every year, but it's just ever evolving
Mm-hmm.
in the way that we consume and just it's really, the biggest shift in social media was definitely just moving from more static imagery into videos and then short-term video.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I just wonder where it can go from that point.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was at Amazon Fresh yesterday grocery shopping,
Mm-hmm.
and you can literally scan your palm to go into the grocery store and make payment. So
So we're up to that now, huh?
yeah, yeah. I'm not good at predictions. I just ride the waves.
So we're not going to go to just thinking up a marketing plan and just putting our palm on something.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
we can just transfer our ideas. Oh my gosh, that wouldn't be so bad actually.
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite there yet,
It's a
but
little too convenient. Yeah.
yeah, we're not there We're not there yet, though, but who knows? At some point, maybe somebody's thinking about that right now. But right now, I guess, in terms of if you were, giving some suggestions to a small business owner who's really not sure where to start, maybe they just gotten their product out there, or they're regrouping, revamping. Should they be, looking to connect with you or someone like you, or should they really be starting at a more basic level with the social media, or what would you recommend to that entrepreneur?
Sure. I'd recommend a couple things. When it comes to marketing, it will definitely benefit you to know enough to be dangerous. It's really difficult to hire someone to do, let's say, Facebook ads or build your website or anything related to marketing if you have zero comprehension of what it takes, what it is, and you're just like, I need someone to figure this out for me. I've worked with a lot of people who have just gotten burned, and it's not the fault of the person they hired or them. It's just the fact that they're speaking different languages because one person has extreme comprehension of the subject and the other has none. So if you can just read up a little bit on, some of the marketing, you don't need to know it, but you need to know enough to ask good questions. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, in terms of just being a small business owner, whether you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur or even an entrepreneur or really just a human, I have a book that I love. So my entire career, I've built around this idea of freedom. And it's not necessarily, sometimes it is, sometimes it's about money, sometimes it's about time, but really it's about having the opportunity to pursue any passion that I'm interested in. And so I've built this flexibility in my career and all the different kind of things that I have going on around this idea of having freedom in my lifestyle. And I came to this conclusion after reading a book. It's called The Desire Map. It's by, forgive me if I mess up her name, but Danielle Laporte. Mm-hmm. And it's a great book. It's actually a workbook. So if you get it, don't be surprised. You need to block out at least a whole day to go through it. Mm-hmm. But it really takes you through what you're looking for in life and how to use that to make decisions in your life, like how to use that as your decision-making filter ultimately. Entrepreneurship, freelancing, life in general is not for the faint of heart. And so really knowing what's guiding you, I found that to be a really great, empowering book.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've definitely heard of that. And I'm familiar with her as well. So I think that's a great place for people to begin. Because a lot of times people don't really think about what it is they want, or maybe they start out thinking that way. Then as they get going, they start to chase other things. It's really easy to get sidetracked from what your original desire was, and that can take you astray. And I think that happens.
And that's okay. Yeah. Sometimes you need to go astray to get grounded again and on the right path. But knowing, how to always get back on the path is important.
That's true. Eventually, you'll get to the place that you were heading towards. So, as far as your career work has been to this point, did you ever think you would be doing what you're doing right now?
Yes. It's the only career I have. I do have visions beyond doing marketing one day, but I feel strongly that I'm at the right place at the right time, and all of the skill that I'm building right now continuously will help me on my next venture one day.
That was a good answer, because a lot of times people will say no.
Yeah. No, I've always loved marketing.
So I think it's really good that you knew that before. That doesn't always happen for people. They don't always know where they're heading. So I think that's really good that you had that idea before, and it's all, heading in the right direction for you. And as you said, it is the right place at the right time. So Ashley, could you please share if you have any final thoughts about what we've talked about?
Just excited for everyone listening, the journey that you're on. It's a great way to get to know yourself really well.
That's
And you got
true.
to remember to enjoy it.
That's very important. Very important. So, Ashley, I want to thank you so much for joining me because it's just been a really interesting and informative conversation. I'm sure that everybody listening, whether they're actually in the business yet or not, will definitely learn something from what everything you shared. So, I want to thank you again for joining me today.
Yes, thank you so much, Deborah.
So everyone, I know you've enjoyed the show. Please share this on social media, share it with your friends, and check out Ashley's website, which will be in the show notes. So once again, to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.